Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another designer team series for peddlersden.com. I'm Shawn with Manley Made Minute, and I'm so happy you're here. So for today's video, I am going off script per se from the last couple videos. I've been trying to build up on some of these Peddler's Den videos on scene building. So we started with one element, we went to two, we went to 1, 2, and 3 elements in one card, and then it's kind of now the next step is kind of figuring out how to layer those out and then picking a scene. And I wanted to go over stamps and all the stamps I have and then pick a scene from that. Let's take a break from that. I want to go back to simple. We're going to do what's called a SIP card. Stands for stamp, ink, and paper. So I want you to start looking at the stamps on peddlersden.com and look at them in simple terms. And then when you find one that you like, find a focal point on it, and start there with what we're going to do for the card for today. Then look at that stamp and go, what can I pair that with to build a scene? It's kind of like a starter package, if you will, right? So you're going to get the stamp with the focal point. You're going to kind of do a card like I am today. Start number 1. Then you're going to build off of that with the stamps that you pick to pair with that scene, and then go back to my scene building videos of elements 1, 2, and 3 to go from there. But we're going to take a break. We're going to do a SIP card so you can look at these stamps in a different light and how simple they can be, and you don't even have to build a scene, right? So I'm going to do a video. I'm going to have another card come out here in a couple weeks with that SIP concept, just to throw out simple. I just want to throw it simple so that we're just not making things too complicated, so that you can kind of see that there are things that you can do with these stamps and you don't have to build a scene from them, right? So I'm going to show you the stamps that we're going to use, and then I'm going to show you like 1 or 2 that we could pair with this when I bought this and how I was looking at well, I bought some of it, and then I did get some of this as a design team. So some of these were given to me for free just to feature for you as well. But I picked out things that I could do stuff like this, and then I could build upon them in a scene. Some of my favorites I've already done. I've done the tractor, I've done the old car, a couple of the barns I really liked. Then I added the silo, I added some evergreens and things. And so I've already shown you that concept. We're just going to talk about it, right? So before I go down and show you all of this and how I picked this out and what we're going to do for this SIP card today, don't forget to go and hit that like and subscribe button. Would love to have you follow me here on YouTube as well as Instagram under Manley Made Minute. I have card hops, I have design team videos, I have my own videos and cards and things that we just do to play, as well as I have series on Mondays and Saturdays where I play with scraps and all that kind of stuff, just to have fun. Really just having fun here. So let's head down, show you what I want to do today, show you a couple of stamps that I bought with this to build upon, but we're going to just go back to the basics of this one stamp for you. All right, let's take a look. Here is what we're going to use for today. Let me zoom back out a little bit. So I started with this stamp. This is the Gone Fishin' stamp. I like this stamp so much. There's a story here, in my opinion, and this one grabbed me as a fisherman growing up with my dad fishing, and then this could be a guy, this could be a boy fishing, and the dad's maybe standing over here fishing, watching him like my dad used to do, and there's a story here, and I liked this stamp set. We're gonna just start with this as my simple stamp and him as my focal point that we're gonna draw out and color. So we're just going to color my focal point, go black and white on the rest. Very easy. Like, very, very easy. I'm going to add a water pattern that I already had up through this area here. So I'm just kind of building that in, but there's no masking for that. Now let me just grab, there was one stamp in particular that I had got, a couple stamps actually, but one in particular that I had got to go with this because it reminded me of kind of a pond or something of that nature. Let's see here, I just had it. This one. This leafy tree row, because I thought this could be in that background and then have the water in between this guy and this guy. So you're like in a little nook of fishing, right? You could also build a water pattern in here and then just put some evergreens kind of along the tree line and make a lake kind of thing, right? So if I'm going to pair stuff, this is my focal point. This is the stamp that's grabbing my attention. Now, what can I pair this with to build a simple scene out of? And to me, I'd do a tree line of some sort. You could even do a little small cabin over here out in the distance and the tree line coming off of that. A little bit more complicated and a little bit more complex, right? This just keeps it simple. All right. I have this up on my grip mat. And then I'm going to just stamp this in black. I already checked my orientation that this does fit across this way. It comes off just a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I could do it this way. Actually, it fits better this way. Let me see if this is going to fit, because we're going to pull that focal point up. Oh yeah, I think that'll still work. Let's just do it that way, because this fits of where I want it. It still doesn't go off the card, and I can die cut that out. All right, let me get that down good. I thought it was going to pop off. We're going to use VersaFine, because I'm going to do some watercoloring on that one element I'm going to pull out of there as my focal point element. And so he is going to be my focal point. So we're going to just center this. Let's see. I'm going to double check. Yeah, we can still do it this way, because I can put a sentiment and things over to the side. I'm looking at him, pulling that out off center, but I can put my sentiment and things right over there to balance that out. So that will work. All right. VersaFine. It is waterproof, so that I can watercolor this. Very simple, tiny little piece we're going to watercolor. Not a whole lot, because the rest is going to be a simple black and white to make my focal point pop out after we color it. All right, I'm going to get my head in here for 1 second. Sorry about that. Just kind of center this the best I can. Give this a little pressure. Let that ink adhere to that paper. Just let it sit there. Give it some pressure. I don't want to push too hard so I don't get my lines, because these are thin stamps. Just get some even pressure going on that. I just want a good contact with that ink. Keep it even all throughout. I should have good adhesion at this point. Okay, we're just going to pull this straight up. There we go. I got a little bit there, but that's okay. We can work with that. Not too scared of that. Love how this stamped out. I really do. All right, here's what I want to do. I'm going to die cut this guy out as my focal point. And then we're going to put that up on dimensionals after I put him on a mat. But we're going to die cut him out, color him, the rest of this stays black and white. Once I get this cut out, I'm going to go black and white water pattern over here. We're going to do a color water pattern on this piece, because we're going to be coloring all of that anyway. So let's just put this in place where I want it. I kind of like having some of that fishing line stay black and white over there, and then this piece here with some color. And we're gonna center this. I got a little black piece there, but my masking actually might cover that up to my advantage. So we'll get that, so that masking will hopefully cover that. Okay, let me run this through the die machine and get that as my focal point. And think about this, when you're doing just a little die cut, and that's the only piece you're going to cut, think how fast this could go, right? You could whip this card out really quick doing something like this. here's what I like about these kind of cards too is it's so easy, and these are the cards to me that are fun to make. It just brings the easy back into it, but it keeps it fun and interesting and doing what we like to do, which is just make fun cards and not make them complicated, right? Just drying this just a tiny bit to make sure that ink is dry before I color. All right, let's do some water pattern black and white over here. So I'm gonna add a little water pattern here, here, and then I'm actually gonna go right through here, I think, a little bit, because I can cover up my pieces, and then we'll deal with that little guy when we get there. And I will throw everything I'm using in the description below so that you have this as your, I'm just making sure. It doesn't really matter if it's which side is up and which side is down. I'm just trying to make it fit around this log. So a little bit there. I'm gonna come down just a little bit. Tiny bit of that corner right there. We'll use this little piece because that'll fit right inside that really nice. Like so. Digging that. Really digging that a lot. Okay, I'm going to come around this log. So we're going to go kind of up and around to cover up my little piece here. I can probably go right through that guy, but like so. I'm going to reverse this so I can get that corner up and like this, like so. And we're going to go right through my log because it just stays black and white anyway, but now I'm going to mask this part off. I don't really want any more over here. Just like that, and one little bit right in there. Okay, let's get it away from this so that you can kind of see how that's laying out. I am happy with that. Very happy with that. So if you look at this, actually I'm going to go one. I think I do need to balance that out just a little bit on my scene. So we are going to go right here, actually. Just straight across. Easy. How easy is that? That's going to stay black and white. We're not going to color that. That is not where my focal point's going to be. So I'm going to clean my stamp off because now I want just to do, I don't want to color this necessarily with watercolor. Okay. I'm going to get out a blue. And I might do distress, actually. I'm going to see. Let's see. Just deciding on the blue here, of which one I really want. Alright, I might have to switch. I'm going to go, I think, some Catherine Pooler. This one will work. The Distress wasn't calling my name today. Alright, this foam pad inked this up quite a bit, so I've got to be careful not to push too hard. But we're just going to go right up next to him on both sides in blue. Just like so. That's just enough to give me that visual of water pattern, right? I don't think I want to go up anymore. I could because of the scene. Let's just do it. Why not? Just to extend that and make it color. So here I can just go right up to there. We're going to go across and fill in there. That works for me. Okay? Water is done. That is your water element. So you can see what I'm doing here now, right? I'm just building up color on this piece and this piece only to give this a focal point. All right, we're going to use my Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor pencils. I meant to show this on a video before that I'd made recently, but these are the watercolored pencil shavings, and I just put the shavings in here, added water, they melt kind of down, and now I've got like a watercolor palette. I love this. I absolutely love this. This was not my idea. I got it from Amy R. with Prairie Paper and Ink. I've said this many times. I reached out to her, said, can I steal your idea? She's like, absolutely. I stole it from somebody else, and I gave them credit. So I am just giving credit where credit is due from where I saw it. Can't remember who she said she saw this from, but look how easy this is, just to make a little palette. You water these up, and they just loosen up really, really nice. I'm just going to layer up a couple different colors of browns. I'm not wetting my paper. I did not use watercolored paper because I'm really just doing simple coloring on this. So I didn't need to waste watercolor paper in my, because that's not going to get colored at all. And I'm just keeping it very simple. You could go all out, do dimension, do shading, do a floral would be great. I'd probably use watercolored paper if I was doing a floral. Let me zoom in. Because those are fun, right? Those are fun to add the dimensions and stuff too. But this is such a simple little scene that, like, nah, I don't need to. Just going to do a couple little different shades of brown, though. Get some variation in that log. No rhyme or reason, just kind of following these little wavy lines, throwing some color in there. I did another video, can't remember when it's scheduled, it's the little boy fishing. Same kind of concept, very loose watercoloring on that one. Just want to get a little red into that log. There we go, just a little reddish orange. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's give him, he's probably got an old t-shirt on, most likely. We could go standard blue. I could go gray, but I want to get some pop of color on this. So let's just do a very light blue. Not like a nice navy blue. I'm just going to do kind of a faded blue. I might have to add a little extra color into this one because I know this is going to be a little light, but that's okay. Keeping this guy pretty simple. He's probably a pretty simple guy fishing anyway, right? Just enjoying his afternoon, relaxing. Betcha he's got a cooler or something sitting in front of that log, drinking a little bit of something, whatever his enjoyment is. I'll throw just a little shade on that one side there. Blend that out just a tiny bit so we get a little shade on the one side. Perfect. We're gonna go some pretty dark blue jeans just to make those pop. Let's see, he's got his jeans rolled up, so his feet are hanging in the water here. I love this stamp. I really love this stamp. I've noticed, like, when I do some of these Peddler's Den stamps and things, I feel like there's just a story inside these guys. Like this guy, I'm kind of just sitting here wondering, like, what's going through his head? You know, he's sitting here fishing, and he seems to be alone. Maybe there's somebody off on the sides here fishing with him. I don't know. Is he thinking about anything, or is he like, I ain't thinking about nothing. I'm here fishing, enjoying my afternoon, or is he contemplating things, or just enjoying life? I don't know. That's weird. I just think about stuff like that with these stamps sometimes, you know? We're going to go, I gave him a yellow hat, so let's just go maybe some red hair. Got just a little peak of hair right there. That's pretty red, so pull some of that off, but there we go. I'm going to use just a little bit of a pink, a very, very, very light pink for the skin. And just very, very little, like, just to give it some tone. I could leave it plain, just plain white too. Got a little piece of knee right there, so we'll get that piece. All right, we've got some grass sitting in front here. So we'll start out with, you know, my favorite, that yellow-green, citron green, whatever it is. I'll just throw that in there first. I like my yellow greens. And I'm just going to pull this down, actually, all the way down to the edge of the card. And then I'm going to go and just pick a color, any color, kind of some darker, olivey, martini-ish kind of green. Tap that in up along these grass lines, like so. And then I don't have grass lines, so I'm just kind of loose out here. And then let's just give a little intense green in there. So I'm just going to go a little darker green. Let's just pull the green in here. Just a little. Just tap some of that in there. These are so fun to color. To me anyway, these are just so fun to make a story out of. And you could color these to be realistic. You could color these to be more storybook-like. You choose that theme, and you choose that what you're going to do with these, right? All right. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to throw just a little. I want just a little darker line up against that log, just a tiny bit. Pull that across just to give a little bit right where those grass markings are. Yeah. That's it. I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's all she wrote. That's the card, right? So, I have pre-cut out the nesting die of this one that we're going to throw up on here, and we're going to we're going to glue this guy down. And then we're going to pop up the other one on, well, let's double up this. Let's give this some dimension. Why not? So let's pop this. You know what? Let me dry him before I tear this or do something I shouldn't do. Dry that up a little bit. Since it isn't watercolored paper, you want to make sure you got that good and dry. I'll zoom out. This is the die cut I just pulled over that we're going to nest him up on. We're going to throw this up on a card base because I did a full card base on that. And I wonder if I've got a sentiment sitting here. I didn't really think about a sentiment. Let's just see if I've got a decent sentiment sitting here that I would like to use. Let's see. thought I might have some sitting right here. We'll dig in my Peddler's Den bucket and see what I got to throw sentiment on here. All right, we're going to pop him up on dimensionals. Just like so. Could probably use strips as well. If you have strips, go ahead and use just good old strips of dimensionals. I like making focal points like this. I've done it with florals and things before. I've done it with some other like design kind of stuff too, and like drawn out things and different things, and then just die cut out a focal point and then just colored that piece. Okay, we'll layer him up on this. Harden this for 1 second so I get that nice and centered. Oh, I love that. I love the shape of that die cut too. All right, let me grab a card base. Then I'm going to grab my bucket of sentiment. See if I have a sentiment that I think would work with this one. Since we just changed up that format a little bit because of my little messes, but that's okay. That's what we do. Something happens, we're gonna make a lemonade out of it. That's a big sentiment. Too big. I may not have one that's just decent. I could just do, yeah. I like this one. From the fragrance of the forest, we get healing and strength. This could turn into just a nice little sympathy card. I like that one. The fragrance of the forest, the fragrance of the water and the lake, and I like that one. Let's just see if I got a different one though. We're gonna go with that one. Let's do it. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this off. And let's see. Let's see here. It says from the, so from is right there. And I just want to make sure, I'm going to kind of cover up that little piece right there with my sentiment. Love that. Love that a lot. All right, we're going to use VersaFine. VersaFine's great for these fine sentiments anyway. All right, make sure. I've got a pretty straight line here that I've, and I trimmed this down, so that's going to be my line to follow, or this line, keeping this line straight. Didn't put it on at the straightest, but pardon my head if I'm getting in there. I'm just trying to make sure I'm going to cover up my line and then make it sure it's straight and there. I'm not pushing down very hard because it's such a small stamp and the sentiment, and I don't want to smush any more lines in here. And then straight up. And I cover that up perfectly, and it's pretty straight. Not bad at all. All right. I kept it nice and white and simple. I didn't want I did a full background, so this is die cut out to 5.5 and 4 1/4. I wanted full card panel on that. I wanted this simple. Pardon me. I'm going to glue this straight to the card because we're going to pop up that one focal point. It's going to be our pop-up point. I don't want this popped up and take away from the actual focal point of this card, which is our little guy fishing. So full panel card, you can see here that this covers the full panel, right? As that's drying. We'll pop up dimensionals on here. I will use strips on this one just to show you. If you use squares or strips, doesn't matter. Whichever you have, whichever you like. If you're more, why waste all the little squares on pieces like that, and you like to do strips, that's why I'm showing you. You can do both. Whichever you got. I never waste any. I always put that little piece there and I add another little piece. I know, call me corny. I don't waste. Just can't help it. Okay, we'll peel these off. This is going to be, I think, the simplest card I think I've ever made. But I also feel now with that sentiment that I just put on, not planned whatsoever for a sympathy card. I was thinking more guy's birthday card or something. This actually might be my most simplest, but my most impactful card, to be very honest. Like, this just has a lot of story and a lot of pop to it, I think. Okay. Take that off. And we're going to pop this up. And hopefully this should cover up my little piece there, which it does. Line up your elements so I can see the end of the log there. This is going to extend off to the log here. My water's extending out. I think I've got it good and lined up. Now, look at what I've done. I'm going to cover up the forest. So I'm going to move him because I've got wiggle room here. I'm actually going to move this so I can see my sentiment. It doesn't see the end of the log over here. But you know what? I think you get the idea. Oh, sorry. I was not in camera view. I did not look up. Let me zoom back out. I was lining this up. To line this up and see the end of the log over here, it was covering up my forest. So I scooted this way a little bit, still keeping my log lined up. It just doesn't go straight to the end. There's a little piece of log underneath this side. But it still works because you still get that idea, and this pops up. So it's almost like Paramount Technicolor here with this little piece and then the black and white around that. I love this. This is absolutely stunning in my opinion. I think this has so much statement to it. From the fragrance of the forest, we get healing and strength. I think this is a great sentiment for this very simple focal point card. I sure hope this gave you some ideas. I hope this encourages you to look at these stamp sets. Find one that you like. And once you find one that you like, pair it with a couple other ones that you think you can build a scene from. Buy that as your first little starter pack. Okay? I'll do a video on mounting these and things. I haven't done that yet, I don't think. If I have, I'll link it. If I've done it, I'll link it. Because if not, you're going to need the grip it and a couple stamps to pair with your one main focal one that has a statement like this. Could be a flower, but I would get a cabin, or I would get something like this and then build around it. It could be something as simple as, I love this little truck, Shawn. Okay, so get a cabin, get a barn, get some trees, to pair with this. There's a pumpkin patch thing, pile of pumpkins you can get to put in front of it. Get something to pair with that, and then work from there. So you could do this as a focal point similar to this, and start there and work your way up. I thank you all so very much for hanging with me. Hope this gave you a great idea to really simplify these scene building stamps. And now go back and watch the scene building ones that I've done to start building from that. I hope that helps you. Thank you all so much, and until next time, I'll see you then.